Hello, what's up YouTube? Photographer Ronix with an tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how you can easily edit your raw photos in Photoshop to make them pop. So, by the way, so many people have this fear and misconception about shooting in RAW, and you feel like when you shoot in RAW, your images may not look nice and you may not have those nice and beautiful vibrant colors in your images when you try to edit them in Photoshop, and this is to take away that myth. So if at all this is what you have always looked for, make sure to hit the like button on this video so that YouTube can push and recommend this video to many people out there. So you can see we're just going to edit the image to look very nice and better in this case. So what we want to do, we want to process this file to look a little bit better and we get the best out of the colors in the raw file, and I'll be showing you the before and after at the end of this very tutorial. So without further ado, let's get started. So I shot this image some weeks back and I shot it at ISO 100 using a Tamron 70-200mm lens, and I shot it at 143mm, so I had to zoom into 143mm, and f-stop was f5 and the shutter speed was 1 out of 320th of a second, and this is what I got. And I used a one light setup. My light was on this side of the model. So what I do basically when it comes to editing raw files in Photoshop, I simply first of all recover the highlights and the whites in the image. So I take the highlights down just like that, and I also take the whites down, and you can see what that does. It gets me back the information within the blown out highlights or whites within the image. Then after I've done that, I prefer images that are contrast, so I just come and add contrast to the image. After around 19 or 20, that is fine. Then I come and I add a subtle bit of blacks just like that, and it makes the image look better and the lighting is corrected in this case. So I come and open up the shadow slightly, just by a tiny bit. Then basically I come and open up the clarity of the image after around 5. So this clarity option, it helps me boost more on the blacks, but I don't over add it because it makes the image look weird. So I just add a subtle contrast in the darkest areas of the image by pumping up the clarity. Then usually I don't handle or tamper with the vibrance and saturation, and I have a way to increase the vibrance of the image or the contrast values in a more natural way in the color areas. So after I've handled the basic adjustments, this is the before and the after so far, and we are not yet done with the tutorial. So basically I come to my color mixer, and color mixer usually has these 3 options, and if at all you have a slightly older version of Camera Raw, you may find it being called the HSL panel. So under color mixer, we have hue, saturation, and luminance, or the HSL. So with this, basically you have to play around with different values of a given color. So luminance is the brightness of a given color. So basically, if at all I'm to use a green as a sample, you can see taking it to the right hand side, you can see it is going to make the green color brighter, and taking it towards the left hand side is going to make the green color darker. Then also we have saturation, and saturation is the intensity of a given color. So taking the greens towards the left hand side is going to desaturate or reduce on the saturation of the green color, and taking it towards the right hand side is going to increase on the intensity or saturation levels of the green color that is in question. Then also we have hues, and hues is a little bit different because when you are hueing a color, you're either making it look like a color on top of it or look like a color below it. For example, let's use the greens again. So if at all I'm hueing the greens towards the right hand side, it's going to make the greens look like the aquas. So just look at the green color in this case. You can see it is going to make the green look like the aquas like this. So if at all I'm moving the green slider towards the left hand side, it's going to make the greens look more on the yellow side, and you can see that the greens have turned yellow in this case. So taking a selected color towards the left hand side is going to make that selected color look like a color above it, and taking it towards the right hand side is going to make the selected color look like a color below it. So that is how the hue slider works within Camera Raw, or within the color mixer, or this HSL panel. So what we want to do basically, the very first thing I tend to do when it comes to color mixer, I come to the skin tones because I prefer to add contrast within the skin tone area. So what I tend to do, I come to the oranges and I simply darken the oranges by taking the luminance towards the left hand side, and that makes the skin tone look better and more contrasty. Then after I've done that, I straight away come to my hues, and under hues, since I have a different color within the neck area, I hope you can see, we have more of the red color and the face has more of the yellows and oranges. So in order to eliminate this reddish color in the neck area, I'm going to come to the red channel and I make the reds in the image more on the orange side, just like that. But this is going to make the image look a little bit more yellowish and too much on the orange side. So I simply come to the oranges and I'm going to drag that towards the reds, and that is going to compensate and reduce on the intensity of my oranges that were created as a result of hueing the reds and making them more on the yellow side. Then after I've done that, the next thing I'm going to do basically is coming to the greens, and in the greens I basically take the greens towards the right hand side or towards the aquas, just like that. Then I come to the saturation, and basically what I do, I simply reduce on the intensity or saturation of the green color, and you can see before and after for our HSL panel or color mixer. You can see before and after. Then how to make the image pop a little bit more and look better, I simply remember initially I told you I don't handle the vibrance and saturation, but I have a way to make the images pop a little bit more and have that nice and beautiful saturation and vibrance. So basically what I do, I come all the way down to my calibration option in my Camera Raw filter. So what I do with the calibration option, I simply come straight to the blue primary option and I come to the saturation. So I want you to look at the image. If at all I start dragging this up, it is going to make the image pop a little bit more in a more natural way. You can look at the before applying the calibration, and this is the after applying the calibration, before, and this is the after applying the calibration. So it is better and natural than simply coming to my saturation and pumping up the saturation. Just look at how weird that looks. It is better than doing it that way. It is more natural to come to the blue primary and you simply knock that up, and the colors don't fall apart when you're using this option or this method to boost and make the colors pop within the image. So just pump up to around 20, and you can see just the calibration makes the image pop a little bit more. So let me show you a quick before and after, like I promised at the start of the tutorial. This is the image initially before. That is the raw file that we had initially, and this is what we have achieved by doing those nice and subtle adjustments on it. This is a before, after, before, after, before, and after. So basically this is how to edit your raw images and make them pop within Camera Raw or even Lightroom. And if at all you have loved this tutorial, make it a point that you hit the like button on this video. So if at all you want to export the image into Photoshop, a very better image and a slightly sharper image, simply come down here and simply double click on this option, and it's going to open up the preferences of Camera Raw. And make sure I change the color space to Adobe RGB 98. And if at all you want a better image to edit, I prefer you select the depth as 16 bits channel. So Make sure you don't resize your image, of course, and resolution is 300 pixels per inch. Also, make sure you check the sharpening option right here and you sharpen it for screen. And I prefer a high amount of sharpening. And don't check this option that says open in Photoshop as smart object and simply hit OK. So every time you open up your camera and have done the adjustments on the images, this option is going to be there as a default. And when you're done doing the adjustments, simply click on open to open your images into Photoshop for you to do your final skin retouching and those other adjustments. So this is all for today's tutorial. And if at all you have found it helpful, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. If at all you have been watching and you're not subscribed yet to this channel. Ronix from Ronix Photography. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in it. More amazing tutorials, and don't forget to keep practicing and also keep creating.